Start with the Guardians. Bro.
Yeah, they are locked in at the plate right now, guys. 8-0. I mean, I don't know how we're going to do a 2-hour show with Tyvis wearing those stupid
What
glasses.
you mean?
I mean, it's very distracting. I mean, how do I look at you seriously when you got those stupid glasses on?
What are you talking about? You got to be a professional.
Oh, okay. I'll try my best. It's 8-0. The Guardians win. They take 2 out of 3 from Seattle. They're now 5-2 on the season. We talked about this big buzz coming into the first regular season series, or the home series against the White Sox. If they could take 2 out of 3 from the Twins, that would be huge to come home 7-3. We'll see. That series getting going tomorrow. The Guardians get their first day off. But the bats were cooking. 8 runs. They got 10 hits off Seattle starter, who's George Kirby, who's a tremendous young pitcher. They just smacked him around. And how about there was some great numbers for the Guardians yesterday. Stephen Kwan had 3 hits. Jose had 2 hits and a bunch of ribbies. Josh Naylor had one of the oddest line scores I've ever seen. He was 0 for 3 with 3 RBIs. How often have you? That's got to be very rare.
Yeah.
You could see maybe 1 RBI, maybe 2, but 3 RBIs without a hit, very hard to do. But that's what he did yesterday. I was listening to MLB radio on the way in. And Jim Duquette was like, yeah, Josh Naylor hit a 3-run homer. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't hit a 3-run homer. But the offense, especially the top of the lineup, they were cooking. They did everything they had to do. Jimenez had a good game as well. Got to be very excited about how the offense has been, Jason, here through the first 7 games.
Yeah, I watched the game yesterday driving home. We shut up to Michigan just for a quick while the kids are on spring break.
Wait a minute, you watched it where?
I watched it on my phone as I was driving home.
Yeah.
You are, boy.
Did you just meet him today?
You good.
I mean, this is routine.
No, he is good.
But I mean, I was watching the road. I just glanced down once in a while. You look around. I glance down. And,
that's better than reading.
I agree with that statement. Yes.
Right? It's
much better. You could do audio books as well.
Nah, that's too easy.
I like the challenge. But no, I agree. George Kirby is one of the best young pitchers in the American League.
Yeah.
And that entire Mariners staff, we talked about it before, they're one of the best young pitching staffs in baseball. And Emerson Hancock, the rookie, is the one that shut him down the most.
Yeah.
So you have to be encouraged where it's at. I still have concerns about where the power is going to come from. We've seen this before where you can win in the regular season, putting the bat on the ball, small ball, hitting the gaps, hit and run, all that is fine. But if you really want to, and I know it's April, we got a long way till September and October, but if you really want to make noise in the postseason, you have to be able to hit the ball out of the park. Like history shows that, the data shows that, everything shows that. So I still have concerns over that, but I'm not going to sit here. We can't say that every single day between now and September.
Right.
So for what they have, you can only work with what you have. What they have, we talked about before. I love Tyler Freeman in center. Rocchio at shortstop looks like it's going to work. It's early. But he was a big-time prospect. They tried and they tried and they tried with Gabby Arias. It just didn't take. Rocchio's getting his shot and he's running with it. They're still trying to fit bench guys in. Arias is still getting a ton of at-bats. I would think in another couple of weeks we're going to see Manzardo up here. So it's good times, man. And it's fun to watch this team right now. And Logan Allen pitched really well.
Yeah, he did.
He was spotted to a big lead. And, when you get a big lead sometimes, it's easy to just go out there and throw strikes. And that's what he did.
What I like is fast starts, and it goes out there to pop 3 in the first inning.
That was the first pitch of the game, I think.
I was
single to left.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, my goodness. So it lets you know that.
Take the glasses off, please. I can't.
What's wrong with y'all? Be professional.
We can't do that for a full show.
You got to be professional.
No way. Take the glasses off.
What if I flip them back right? What are we saying?
It's not going to matter.
What are we saying? What are we saying?
Very distracting.
What are we saying to
being
Steve?
forced.
You're like a child. They're taking your glasses like a child.
Y'all I said. I tried, Steve.
Yeah.
I tried. But he going to go put them on in the back.
Yeah.
But anyways, fast starts is always good. And I love the fact that, Stephen Vogt has put his spin on it. For the past couple of years, or just last year, I should say, mainly, the hitting was such a problem. But to see them constantly putting their bats on the ball. And the A's, it was the A's. So, it was kind of like, okay, anybody could do that against the A's. But to do that against guys that are considered good pitchers, that speaks volumes to them. So I think it's something that's here to stay. I'm with you on the home run thing. I stood right there, looked in this camera and said that they would be top 15. As of today, we are 19th? So Rome
Yeah,
was
but even that's not legit.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
That's not home.
Listen,
if you do home runs per game, they're
Rome wasn't
lower.
built in a day, and we are 4 spots away from making me look like a genius. So,
You know what's weird with the Twin Series coming up? I think Minnesota just hit their first home run yesterday.
They
Oh,
have 2 home runs on the season.
we're in front of Minnesota. How about that, Bull?
That's wild. Like
The
Minnesota's
Guardians are
got some-
23rd in
Oh,
home
my
runs per
gosh.
game.
Why you always
Minnesota's
why
30th,
is-
though.
have
Minnesota
you,
is 30th.
have
yes.
you always been a Debbie Downer like this?
I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm very excited about the team. But
No.
if we're going to give a stat, it's got to be a real
it
one.
says 19th.
Well, because it's too early in the season, some teams have played 6, some teams have played 4. It's a big difference.
not our
By
problem.
the end of the year, when we
could-
give it, everybody's played
we
162.
can only go off of the games that's been played.
That's right.
And right now they're 19th. Go Guards.
Anyway, listen, ultimately, every day we can come on here and say it's early.
Yes.
Every day we can come on here and say they've got to hit for more power in the playoffs if they make it.
Yep.
So those two things are just a given. We
Yep.
understand that. And the first one, in terms of it being early, that's just part of baseball for every team. So yeah, you don't want to get carried away. But the Guardians, not just like last year, they couldn't hit at all. Yes.
Yeah.
But for a number of years, they've been a bad hitting team in April. Even in years where they've been a good hitting team, they've been a bad hitting team in April. And so far this year, they've gotten off to a great start offensively. And that is very promising, especially because it's mostly coming from guys that have either done it in the past, like Jose, like Jimenez, like Juan, to a lesser degree, but still, or guys that you believe are legitimate prospects that can break out.
Right.
I should have included Josh Naylor in that first group. The second group, Bo Naylor, Tyler Freeman, Brian Rocchio. So that's what makes it promising. If it's coming, the David Fry thing. I'm not buying into David Fry having a monster season, and I could be wrong, but that's when so guys like that, and even Will Brennan off to a good start too. He had 2 hits and I think 3 RBIs yesterday. So the fact that it's coming from guys that are highly thought of, that's not completely out of left field, makes it feel more real. And the longer it goes, the more you're going to buy into it. But the fact that they got 20 hits the last 2 days, they got more than 20 hits, but 20 hits off of Luis Castillo and George Kirby, who are 2 of the, 15 best pitchers in baseball, at least in the American League,
Yes.
right? I mean, that is a very promising sign. Those are top pitchers. And Seattle is not like, it's not like it's a great hitter's park. It's, it's okay. But they've been very clutch. Josh Naylor, you don't have to always get a hit to help the team. And he showed you that a few times yesterday.
Now, it is going to get significantly colder compared to where they were.
Oh, yeah. What's the weather supposed to be like in Minnesota this weekend?
I would imagine
I'll tell you right
frigid.
now.
Although it's supposed to be nice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think, for the White Sox series.
I hope for the eclipse it's nice on Monday because there's
It's
a
the
lot
last
of
thing-
people coming here.
I
is.
looked this morning, it said 60 and partly sunny.
58.
What time's
They say
first pitch tonight for the
58
Guardians?
partially
They're
cloudy.
4 o'clock.
When?
4 o'clock today.
Today it's 3 o'clock Minneapolis, 4
No,
o'clock here.
They're playing today?
Yeah. It's
High of-
Oh, that's
Minnesota's
right. They're
home
off
opener.
tomorrow.
It's
Right,
High
right,
is
yeah.
48 today.
Okay.
So-
I was thinking they were off today and playing tomorrow. They're playing today and then off tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
So it's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not exactly balmy this time of year in Oakland and Seattle, but it's warmer than what they're going to see now going to Minnesota and Cleveland. And that does make a difference when it gets cold like that. Although I hope 60s next week would be great for the opener. That'd be
It's supposed to
phenomenal.
be. Good pitching matchup today, Tanner Bybee and Pedro Lopez.
Yeah.
The Guardians are facing a third straight top-notch pitcher today.
Yep.
Because Pablo Lopez is really good. And then, they're off tomorrow, and then they have the Saturday, Sunday games, both day games, probably, I would think.
I would think so.
Saturday could be Saturday's 2 o'clock, and then Sunday's probably 2 o'clock. Okay, so, it's a great pitching matchup today.
When we did that last week, we did the top 10 pitchers like lineup rotations.
Yeah.
Where was Seattle on that?
Number 1, I think.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, and you don't take them out of number 1 based on 2.
No, I'm just
games,
saying.
but
I make it more impressive. is
It's
what I'm
very
saying.
impressive.
Castillo
Yeah.
actually got knocked around in his first start,
He
too.
did. He's off to a bad start this year.
But the Mariners are legit. That rotation's legit.
Yeah, no doubt. And they faced 2 of their 3 best guys, and they did really well. And and the pitching. Yeah, on the other hand, we've talked so much about the hitting here. Shane Bieber's really the only starter that has had a great start until yesterday, because Logan Allen pitched very well.
Yeah, he did.
And, it was good. You want to have The Guardians didn't have, first of all, they didn't win that many games last year. And when they did, it seemed like they had to bring in Emmanuel Clase every single time they won. Yeah. Well, so far they've had a few games this year that they've been able to win and not bring him in. And yesterday was one of those games. And that's important because I think he's pitched a lot the last 2 years.
Yes.
And they've kind of overworked him. And they need to pump the brake on him a little bit.
And he was one of the guys I heard was like sort of really affected by the pitch clock. He was one of those guys that really took a long time, and last year really sort of sped up his routine a little bit. We'll see this year if he adjusts a little bit better now that they've got a year in and he can conform a little bit more and get a little bit more comfortable to it.
Where are you at on the pitch clock?
I like it.
It's great.
I love it.
Best thing that baseball ever did.
It's a challenge for some pitchers, no doubt. They got to get you.
It's
taking
already
time to use. Remember Karinchak last year?
Oh yeah.
He was a disaster.
But it's already so much more like it's not as big of a deal anymore. And a year from now, I don't think we'll notice it at all. Like last year, it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
This year already, it doesn't even feel like it's that big of a deal.
Some pitchers said that. Well, I ain't seen no penalties yet, or whatever you want to.
Yeah,
call
I don't know.
it.
I don't think there have been any this year.
If they've assessed
Now last
balls.
year it was at the beginning of the
Early in
season. Oh
well,
my
guys are getting used to
goodness.
it now, and it's way better. The games are going. Here's the thing now. It's not just that games are shorter, which they are. Games on average, I think, were almost 30 minutes shorter, which I never thought it would make that big a difference, but it did. I think it was 25, 26 minutes. But the thing is, what's even misleading about that is the high-scoring games, the slugfests, we don't care if those take a long time. What you wanted to get rid of was the games that were bogged down by pitching changes and all these things in the 8th, 9th inning, and it was like a 3-2 game, and it went 3 hours and 15 minutes. Those low-scoring games are taking 2.5 hours, 2:40 consistently.
Yeah.
If the 10-9 game goes 3.5 hours, who cares? You're getting a lot of action. That's what you want.
Have you seen the side-by-side? I think it was Secretariat and Zach Greinke throwing one pitch, and it took the exact same amount of time.
I did see that.
I think I think when is Secretariat? I think it was Secretariat.
Yeah.
Secretariat winning the Kentucky Derby,
Right.
and Zach Greinke throwing one pitch pre-pitch clock days took the exact same amount of time.
Yeah, it was funny because they don't use the pitch clock in I think Japan or Korea yet. Maybe they play with a little more speed. I don't know, but when I'm not sure for those for the San Diego Dodger games. I don't know if they were using the pitch clock for those 2 games that started the season because I don't know. I noticed they didn't when I was watching the games that they didn't have because now you see the pitch clock, especially when it's down to below 10 seconds.
Right.
But they didn't show it then, so I don't know if they were just doing it separately and they just weren't showing it for whatever reason. But anyway, Emmanuel Clase's only pitched 2 innings, so the Guardians are 5-2. And Clase's only pitched in 2 out of 7 games. That's pretty good. That's great.
Yeah.
So for them to have 3 wins already that they didn't need.
What did he have? 70 appeaprances last year? I think he had 70.
74.
That's almost every other day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's insane.
He had the most saves, but the most blown.
Yeah.
He had 9 losses.
Because every game was close. So, all right, but at the end of this season, I'd love to see him with 58 appearances. Mm-hmm. I think that would make a huge difference. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, through 7 games, and once again, it's early sample size. They played a terrible Oakland team. They just beat Seattle. But they have a plus 28 run differential through 7 games, which is the best in baseball, and it's not even close. The second best is Atlanta at plus 21 and the Diamondbacks at plus 21. 7 runs better. And those teams, Arizona's also played 7 games. Atlanta's only played 5. But I saw this stat from Sarah Lang, and Steve, you want to take tagboard full. It's not just good for this year. This is historically good for the franchise. The 3rd highest run differential through 7 games in team history. That 99 team had plus 33, 1922, 30 run differential. So they're not just beating teams early. They're beating the crap out of some of these squads.
Yeah, it's a great stat. Run differential over, not in the short size, but over the length of the season, really is a decent indicator for how good a team is.
Yeah.
When you see a team that's bad but has a good run differential or vice versa, it's very uncommon, and you're like, that team should be better.
Right.
Sometimes there's extremes. You win a game 19-1, it could skew it a little bit, but the Guardians haven't done that. It's not been one game where they just scored 1 million runs.
And again, they've got that run differential with a staff that really hasn't pitched that well outside of Bieber.
No, they've gotten 3 good starts out of 7.
Yeah.
And by the way, just to give you a little extra context, in 99, that plus 33, their best run differential ever, that team ended up losing the ALDS. In 1920, Cleveland won the World Series.
22?
Either one of these 2 tweets is wrong from either the Guardians or Sarah Lang. This says 1920, but plus 30 Whatever year that was, it's a World Series.
I mean, I don't get. To me, nothing that happened before the 40s matters in baseball. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that.
There were no black players. There were no Latin players. There were no Asian players. I don't care what happened then.
I don't disagree with that statement, actually.
It's meaningless pre-Jackie Robinson. I don't give a crap about anybody that played before then. For me, I know other people feel that way. Apparently, Jeff Passan, who's of course from Cleveland, as we talked about before the show, made the statement that Babe Ruth would be no good these days.
I was going to ask you guys about that. Yeah.
Well, and Chris Russo, who's like one of these old school guys who thinks only baseball since the '50s sucks. He lost his mind about it, of course. And to me, I think they're both nuts because how do I know? Right. I don't know. He played 100 years ago. How the hell do I know? All I'll say about Babe Ruth in comparison to is that he was so much better than the other players of his time that I find it hard to believe he would suck now. But how would you know? It's 100 years ago. Guys were in different shape.
I would tend to think anyone who stayed up all night drinking and boozing and smoking probably wouldn't fare too well in today's game.
I don't know. Mickey Mantle did that too. I mean, a little more recently.
Well, a little bit, but not much.
All I'll say about Babe Ruth is that he has a good candy bar.
Baby Ruths, you like those?
I don't know if that has anything to do with him.
It doesn't, but it's close enough.
Yeah. All right.
And Otani's better, yes. And
Otani hit his first home run.
I don't care
of the
what
season
nobody
last
say.
night.
Otani's the best player I've ever seen. Well
you
I didn't see
that.
Babe Ruth too. You know what I mean. He better than Babe Ruth. I said that.
One last baseball note real
Yeah.
quick. The A's have announced where they'll be playing for the next 3 seasons before moving to
Is it
Vegas.
Sacramento?
Sacramento at a AAA stadium that holds 10,000 people.
Well, they're not getting 10,000 people a game anyway.
For 3 years.
3 years.
That's not like moving in with the in-laws for 6 months while they're finishing the house. That's
By the way, with the potential to play there in 2028 as well if the stadium in Vegas is not ready.
This is a disaster.
Sacramento should be embarrassed. The mayor of Sacramento is a disgrace. They should
Why?
not have done
The A's are the disgrace.
Well, they're the bigger disgrace, sure. But Sacramento should say, screw you. You're screwing our fellow city, Oakland. And
Oh, they don't care about that.
I'm about to say, why
You know
would
the
they
money,
care about
the
that?
money that's going to generate for that city? 3
Classless.
years of professional baseball there?
that's classless.
That's the
These
last
people are just the worst.
last time
He's
you-
millionaire. This guy who owns the Oakland Athletics is a piece of garbage.
You know what's amazing is that they don't have an Art Modell. They don't have a guy from City Council going up there saying that they can't play and they shouldn't be able to play in Sacramento.
They don't have a law keeping them. Did I see something that there's a chance they could go back to Oakland like permanently still? I thought I saw a headline the other day about like
I did not see that.
until they break ground on that stadium in Vegas, I still am not 100% convinced this is happening.
Baseball doesn't care about the people of Oakland, obviously. They should force this owner out. He's been a disgrace. He makes Dolan look like he has big pockets.
Yeah.
I mean, their payroll's like four. Otani's making more money. Well, not this year because they're payments. But the average per year of Otani's contract is more than the entire A's payroll.
Isn't it amazing how once you
Picture for
Donald Sterling is the only owner that's been forced to sell by the league, right?
That's the
Like
Clippers dude,
Snyder
right?
went out on his own, didn't he? In Washington.
They kind of forced it.
I don't want to say
I feel
that.
like
they
kinda
forced him
forced
out?
I feel
Yeah.
like they
Okay.
did. Yeah.
So Snyder and Sterling were forced out.
But look at the extreme.
I
of
was
those
going to
two
say that.
losers,
Look
you
at
know.
the despicable human beings that they are.
Yeah.
Before they finally said, "All right, you got to go.
Yeah, right.
You can't stay here. You could do anything. Once you get in that club, you can do anything you want."
Anything. Yeah, it's sad.
Almost.
When you're billionaire. When you're
Almost.
rich, you can get away with pretty much anything. Sad but true. Go ahead, Mike.